G'day. Welcome to the party. If anyone remembers, actually, do you remember the dentist guy? Apparently I look like him. I'm going to be doing a hairdressing video where I make a parody to Ed Sheeran's Shape of You, Shape of Heart, I don't know, some song. Anyway, welcome to our first, this is like our seventh. Welcome to Liana James live for 30 days. We're going live talking all things hairdressing, which is pretty fun. In case for those that are first time to watch this show, my name's Tony. Liana James Hair and Beauty is the salon that I'm at. Thank you, computer, for sending a notification. And over the next few days, I'll be jumping on Instagram and talking all different things hairdressing. I want it to be interactive, so if you've got questions, burning questions, please make sure that you put them out there. Either write them in the comments, you can direct message me if you want, or us, and we'll happily try and answer those questions. More importantly though, we've covered sort of how to wash hair, we've covered why we use certain products, Di Lorenzo, Behave, Sustainable Salons. We're our sustainable salon, but we use that company as our waste resource partner. But what we also are going to be doing in the months coming forward are going to be talking about myths in hairdressing. So, you know, there's myths like if you shave your head, a certain outcome will happen. So I'll talk about all those. Again, I need people to talk to me and tell me what myths they've heard from either their grandparents, great-grandparents, their mums, dads, whatever, auntie, uncle, a spiritual doctor, or whatever they've heard about hair, and in the hair industry, any myths that might exist out there in the marketplace. We'll be interviewing experts in the industry, most notably from Sustainable Salons Australia, Di Lorenzo, and also Behave. We'll talk about a whole bunch of other things, and tonight's topic is actually going to be about all the different tools and things that we use in the hairdressing industry. So, yeah, it'll be a little bit fun. I'll do a bit of rating as well, you know, on some of the things that people use at home. So which ones are good, which ones aren't good, how you can potentially use them to your advantage. So yeah, hopefully everyone stays on board and enjoys today's episode. Important, like I said, ask questions. And if I'm going too fast and I'm not asking for questions, or I'm just rambling, please just interrupt and make sure that I do answer the questions. Now, here, my first utensil maybe. No, it's not a scalpel, and no, we don't do surgeries. It is a cutthroat. We do use this for shaving, although the mini clippers have become actually quite good these days. So you tend to not use these as much, to be honest, in the exercise of cutting hair, and especially getting short. But they are a very good tool. They're also very specific. You know, you can get into really tight areas and make it a really sharp line when you're trying to create something, whether it's on your face or on someone else's face or around the hairline. Really cool tool. You want to get rid of these sharps when you've used them. You don't want to use it on too many people, and you certainly do not want to not use it unsanitized. And just so I can show everybody, and hopefully you can still see me, but our Di Lorenzo sanitizer bottle, important that we use it, and you spray it over each side of a blade and really get it nice and clean. We often use some paper towel as well, or you can use, you know, one of your towels at home, whatever works. Make sure it's nice, clean and neat, and it won't cause any of the bacterial problems that we see. Same thing with scissors. Now, our scissors are just not normal scissors. The steel used to make these scissors, one, go through so many haircuts that we have to go through, and still maintain that they're sharp. You know, the hair follicle is actually one of the most unbelievably strong pieces of material. And subsequently, we need a strong piece of usually Japanese grade scissor metal to get these boys nice and sharp. Now, maintenance is quite interesting. You know, obviously, like I've just used some of the sanitizer, spray sanitizer that we have, and making sure that it's on the blade. Good thing about this sanitizer, it also works as a bit of a lubricant. but you also should and could add some lubricant to the actual blade itself. That will help preserve it. But very important, it's kept clean, one, for hygiene's sake, especially during the middle of a pandemic, but also because it actually looks after the actual shafts themselves. Now, it's interesting, there's some people that love getting their tools sharpened, others not. What I've learned over the years is that it's important to get them sharpened, but it's more important to get them sharpened by the right places. So make sure you do your research rather than just getting anyone off the street to come and sharpen your tools. And if anyone has ever seen these before or not, these are your thinning scissors that they're probably referred to mostly. These ones are big choppers, massive choppers. They're huge. Love them. Certain work, certain types of spaces that you use these sorts of things in. And then you got your more traditional blade here, which is, I'll get a better angle, where you can take some. Very important. A lot of people, what they'll do, especially when they're thinning out hair, they'll just go from wherever they want to. I think the best way to do it is when you pull the hair up and you actually take some of that weight off. So when it comes down, it actually, there's all different parts of the hair that will be all different lengths, and you take some of that weight off anyway. Worst thing that you can see in a haircut is those lines that sit sort of in between, where you've seen someone do either ridiculous layers or potentially use these a bit too harshly. Cutting combs, all different shapes and sizes. I personally love a nice thick one so that it doesn't bend too much. I like to get it through the hair, but it's very important never to use something like this that's quite stiff in combing a hair that has knots. You're only going to cause damage to that hair. You'll see in some of my earlier episodes where I've combed through, I've actually showed people that you start from the bottom, get those knots if they exist at the bottom, and slowly work up the hair shaft until you get right into the root, and you can go all the way down. No pulling. Very important. Don't pull the hair. Do certainly not rip through the hair. It's not good for it. Just don't do it. There's also one here, if you've seen a comb like this that has a little bit of a hook, it's really great for hairdressers because what it allows us to do is take a nice section. So having that little hook there is a real good benefit to us. You might like it at home, especially if you like a straight line to go at the back. Having that sort of pronounced as it is will certainly help you. Again, any questions that you need to ask, please fire away. It might be, why are you using this? Why do you like that? I've got this at home. How can I use it? Whatever. I'm happy to listen to whatever the questions are that are coming through. Wide tooth combs. I've got one here. Also got one here. We use these for colours especially. It really helps when we're taking sections. Traditional hot cross bun. I'm going to go through that one day with everybody. And it helps separate the hair, keep it there so we can do our painting job. Really cool tools for separating if you're doing some interesting work on the hair. Clips, everyone's seen them before. Nothing too exciting. What is the best brush for long hair? It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so if you have long hair, generally speaking, it's older hair. Generally speaking, it's going to have a potential to have more splits, more damage, or the cuticles as the hair comes towards the end, so the oldest part of it, are just not as nice and in good condition as what brand new hair that's coming straight out from the root is. So the best thing to do is actually get a tangle teaser. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I've got like 600 people following us, so I don't get sponsored for that. But they're just great brushes. Now, if you don't like the tangle teaser, there's High Lift that make a similar version. They're not as good in my opinion. They don't work as well, but great little brush. The benefit of these are the softness of these bristles. They have little smaller ones in the middle, so it gets into different parts of the hair when you're combing through. And again, start from the bottom and slowly work your way up the actual hair shaft. That is the best way to brush your hair. So if you're looking for brushing, that's what I would suggest as your best option to get through. Try to do it with some sort of moisturizer in the hair, right? I think it's always better to have that little bit of moisture so that when you're combing through that hair, it's a little bit easier. You're closing over that cuticle. When the cuticle's up, think about your cuticle is like if you ever touched a snake before and you feel the edge of it. So if you go one direction on a snake, it's really rough. If you go the other direction, all the scales go in one direction. When your hair's in good nick, all the cuticles are in one direction. When you go against it, or when those cuticles are raised, it feels like the opposite direction on a snake. So think of it that way. You're trying to get them nice and smooth and running in the right direction. You don't want to go against it. It's only going to cause problem. Great to see that the next question on there was exactly or similar to the one that was just asked there. Now, it depends also. So if you want to do, let's see, let's say you're blow waving your hair or something like that. You know, our preference is usually a vent brush, something like this. Has a little bit of holes that run through the actual brush itself, and sort of bristles that shouldn't melt when your hairdryer smashes them. That's great after you've done the combing. Very important. Get it nice and smooth as possible prior to using any of these sorts of brushes that are actually quite stiff, the actual bristles themselves, and can cause some damage. They're not designed for the actual combing part, they're designed for the styling part. Very cool. These are great. You can do curls with them. You can get your hair nice and straight. You can curl it under. You can flick it out if you need to. Whatever it is that you need to do, great brush to do that. And it allows this inner part, which is metal, to actually heat up. So it works like a tong, effectively. Obviously not exactly the same because it's not a tong, but it does do that heating up. And very important, if you want a curl to hold, the cooling down process is the important part. It needs to get from hot, which is remolding the hair, to the cold part, or to the room temperature part if you like, where it gets into the new condition that it's in. This here is a Denman brush. Some people use it in the industry, some people don't. I don't know why they don't. Quite frankly, what I love about it is when you use it to actually pull out the hair, stretch it out, and actually get those frizzy roots nice and smooth and nice and straight, if that's what you're looking for. It's a really cool brush like that. If you want to get into sort of brushing your hair, I should say, drying your hair, these are cool brushes for it. You can do it in different sections and pulling it out and actually getting a nice, beautiful, straight hair at the end of the day. So my suggestion with this sort of brush, when we use it, we sort of scoop up the hair and pull it out and then use the hairdryer across it. If I can give you an example. So, you know, on that hair, and then you're coming across with that hairdryer. If you're using it at home, you don't need to go that full on. You can just take a section, pull it aside, put this brush through. You'll get a little bit of tension and just come down with the hairdryer. So, like this, and then coming down with that hairdryer. Okay, you'll get it nice and pretty smooth. Maybe not salon quality, that's why you come and see us at the salons, but it'll be very good for you to get you through whatever it is that you need to get through, whether it's work or whatever else. Or you've just been caught up in the rain a little bit and you just want to get it smooth again. Again, highly recommend Denman brushes, they're pretty cool tools. But let's move on to hair dryers. This is a Parlux. Now personally, we've migrated across to Parlux, this one over here. A bit smaller, a lot more lightweight. For a hairdresser, even for home, quite frankly, awesome. The lighter weight, if you're doing a lot of blow waving and blow drying, the lighter weight this tool is, the better it is for you. I can't wait for the day that someone dislodges this and actually makes a dryer that is cordless. That will be amazing. Imagine how clean everyone's bathroom is going to be. And the men out there will be very glad. And in fact, most of the men are pretty messy themselves these days, and they don't mind a bit of a dry off. So, this is a twin turbo, pretty much the same size, a little bit heavier. And look, the fundamental difference between the two is the weight, and secondly, how much it will actually dry off. Dyson all the way on there. I haven't used one. I haven't migrated. I've heard they're fantastic. So people do say they're quite expensive. But you know, I'll promise to give it a crack one day. I'll go buy one, or at least try one in Harvey Norman or something. Actually, not Harvey Norman. They just ripped off the government a whole bunch of money. I'll use a different store, and I shouldn't even given them a plug. But yeah, the main difference between these two that we have in here is, at the end of the day, how quick it dries the hair. The twin turbos traditionally have that little bit more oomph. We'll get to the end of drying a little bit quicker. Danger though with these guys is that you can burn the hair, especially if you don't know what you're doing with it. So very important, stay away from it. Stay at least 1 centimetre to 2 centimetres away from the hair shaft, especially if you're doing it at home. And obviously staying away from your scalp as well, you get a nice little burn on there. I did it to a lot of people, especially when I was an apprentice, which wasn't cool. The light Parlux 385, still a good dryer. Like I said, we got it all through the salon. They do a fantastic job. They don't have that same force, but they absolutely, especially if you're using it at home, everyday use, amazing. We do so many blow dryers, and these guys will last us yonk, especially if you look after them. Very important, clean out the filter. Don't let it get clogged up. That's where I see a lot of problems actually occurring. So, gone through that. Clippers. Everyone loves a good clipper. Not necessarily for the females out there listening to me tonight, but can't go past a while. I know that there's others in the market. I've had a look at some of them. I've had a play even with some of them. Not that interested. The while, durability, quality of cut, evenness, the fact that it's easy to actually access any of their parts and whatever else, fantastic instrument. That they've gone cordless, amazing. Finally, they've gone cordless, and they do an amazing job, and they last for a whole day at work, which is pretty cool. You can also use them corded, so if you ever get stuck because you haven't charged it overnight, naughty, you can also use it corded, which is good. The mini ones, just as good. Nice, I was explaining before, instead of using a razor to get nice and close to the where the hair shaft's coming through, you got this guy that can get quite close, which is awesome. I reckon that's, last but not least, of course, straighteners. GHD versus anything else out there in the market. Now for me, I love a GHD. However, it only heats up to a certain amount, and for people that want a certain outcome, that might not actually be the best thing for them. Maybe people from GHD won't like me saying that, but it's just the truth. So certainly as an overall, if I was going to say you're just entering into the straightening / curling market, go for a GHD. It's the best thing that you can get out there as an overall, and if you don't know what you're doing, it'll probably look after your hair the most. But there are other stylers out there, ones like this that actually have a different temperature that you can choose. And if you know what you're doing from a temperature perspective and what type of hair you have, then going for something that will be more specific for your hair can be good too. But I've always loved GHDs. It's nothing against the GHD or against any of the other brands for that matter, I have to say. But there are other options. You don't have to just go with mainstream if you don't wish. So that's all pretty cool. Now today, I'm going to see Cloud. I've heard people talk about Cloud 9 stylers, straighteners, and I've heard that they're pretty cool. I've never used one, so I can't rate it myself. But from what I've seen out there and the people that use it and swear by it, seems like it would be a good product. So that's what I'll be going by. I wouldn't mind actually giving it a shot one day and maybe doing a 10 different straightener review show one time, just to have a little bit of fun. Maybe have some people in the salon too, so they can be the judge rather than me being the judge. Best product to use before using a straightener. The most important thing, and I'm just going to skip away from the screen 1 second. Extinguish. Okay, extinguish, maybe this way, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, hopefully you can. Anything that's going to give you protection against the heat that's being applied to your hair. But you don't have to just use this for a straightener, I should say. Use it before you also dry your hair. Any heat that is going to be applied to the hair, if you can find a product that's going to repel that, use it. The defense range, if you use shampoo, conditioner and the extinguish as a pack, was tested in I think it was in Denver in the United States. So they had this machine where they actually grab the hair and they pull it apart, and you use all these different things, and not using the Defense versus another brand versus the Defense. And it got something like a 78% better outcome for that hair in terms of how long it would last through their testing. So it was independently tested. De Lorenzo just sent their products over there, said, look, can you test it and do your testing and give us a review? And that was the result that they got. I think it was around 78%. Don't quote me 100% on that, but it was around that figure. So great product when used in a combination and used correctly. From memory, give me 1 second, because I'm right next to my computer, and the benefit of that is that I can jump on and I can check prices. I think it's around $28 or something dollars, but you're gonna have to wait 10 seconds so that I can actually get it up here. Where are we? Yeah, $28.95. I was pretty close. $28.95 for the Defense Extinguish. Pretty cool product. You can go www.ljhair.com.au and we have our online store. Feel free to jump on there and put an order through, and we'll get it to you. Pick up in store, or you can get it delivered if you wish. Another question is it okay to straighten your hair every day? My professional advice would be try not to. I think anytime, if I'm honest, anytime that you can do something less that potentially has a negative impact on you, and that goes from to do with hairdressing or not to do with hairdressing for that matter, I'd encourage to do that. So if you can get away with the longest amount of time with either doing a blow wave or straightening or whatever it is, do it. Now, if you use the right products and you have to run over your hair for whatever reason, it just never stays straight or in the condition that you'd like to, then yeah, sure, do it every day if you need to, but make sure you're using the right products, please. It is essential that you do it every single time. And don't think that, if I have bad hair and I use it once, it's going to become good. That's not how it works. Really, start using it before it gets bad is the first point. And then over time, it's an accumulative thing. The more you do it, the more you apply it, and the more you do it over a longer period of time, the better the hair will be and the better condition it'll be. So, yeah, I'm not anti doing it, because I understand in the real world people are going to do it even if I say don't do it, but just make sure that you do all the right things. And if you need advice on how to apply or whatever it is, then come and see us or come and see any of the hairdressing professionals that exist out there. Well, I'm sure there'll be many that will be more than happy to assist. If there is no more questions coming through, I'm going to skip over to one of my favourite segments, with the only other segment that we have other than me talking about whatever I feel like talking about on this particular day. I have to remind you of a few things. Again, www.ljhair.com.au. If you want to book online, order product, whatever it is, you can send me a message, direct message if you want something answered. You can also call us. We've got a mobile service as well, so 0499 006 331. So if you just want to do text, I know people are busy these days. I don't want to call and miss a call and whatever. You can text something through and we'll get back to you. Alternatively, if you're a traditionalist, 9571 6622, you can jump on to the phone and make an appointment with us or ask any questions you wish. Now, our segment, what's hot and what's not. Oh, the other thing, actually, before I go, make sure you direct message us on things that you'd like us to cover. So it seems like, straighteners and maybe rating some of the different ones would be cool. It would be a struggle to get to Mudgee, especially with apparently the hard border that Daniel Andrews has between New South Wales and Victoria. But I would love to come to Mudgee and do hair country style. That would be fun, Jamie Lee. But our segment tonight, and I always do what's hot and what's not. It's not. I started with things that are happening at the moment, but I'm moving into different eras. And yesterday we did 80s, a lot of fun. Today we're going to hit the 70s, and I am just going to take you for a bit of a ride here, I suppose. Now here's the first one. Curls started to get big pretty much in the 70s. Personally, I've seen a few people try to attempt this these days, and I don't mind it. The colour's actually pretty good. It's almost a balayage from in the 1970s. Who would have thought? I don't know that it's so much an intended balayage versus maybe some colour that's grown out over time. But personally, thumbs up to me, from me. The shag. We actually had this come up in 2021 latest what's it called, fashion. So apparently it's back. Who would have thought? Not a fan. I'll keep it simple. It's there. Not a massive fan personally. Okay, so what I am going to do, give me 1 second. So, I think this will make my life easier because I can hold it in a different way. What is the best treatments in the salon for long hair? I'll get to that question, I promise, in a second. Everyone loves Farrah Fawcett. Unbelievable. The curtain bangs are sort of in at the moment. I know that pretty much that's where they're sitting. People are almost styling it in that way as well, which is quite phenomenal. Stunning girl, stunning lady, has to be said. And the hair was massive and awesome. Loved it. Me, personally, massive fan. Would I do it on a lot of clients? Probably not. Probably would do it as special events, and that's about it, personally. Tony and Guy got a little bit of a plug. I can't imagine this was from the 70s, but anyway, apparently so. Big, long bangs, apparently, which is the American word for effectively a fringe, what we would call down under. Do I like the big fringe, big thick fringes? Yes. Do I encourage it on a lot of people if they want to wake up on a regular basis and style their hair? I think it looks good. Certainly can take some age off for those that are concerned about looking a little bit older or getting older. It is a very, youth sort of feeling haircut, ultimately. Right person and right lifestyle. Diana Ross. Yes, of course. The disco curls. And curls are back, like we've said many times. A lot of people doing it, and they're loving it. They're just not doing it on a permanent basis, like they used to back in the 70s. I don't even know how we're getting into Kim Kardashian on a 70s show, so I'm going to skip past that one. There you go. That's what they're talking about. So apparently Kim Kardashian got a little bit of share about her, which is fair enough. My auntie actually had beautiful, luscious, shiny, long hair, dark hair. And again, for me personally, right person, right look, can pull it off, definitely. Not everyone's going to get away with this. And certainly my only encouragement is that as you get on in life, please consider what colour your hair is going to be. It just doesn't age well, unfortunately, the darker that you are. That's just my personal professional opinion. And Cher was amazing. Good on her. Wow, what can I say? If that's what you're born with and that's what you're gifted with, bloody go for it, as far as I'm concerned. It's awesome. Look at it. It's huge. And done a great job with it. I don't mind the butterflies in there and flowers at all. So good on them. I don't think I could ever have hair that big anymore. But I certainly wouldn't be doing it on myself anytime soon. Good old Meryl. Big, long, straight hair. And your curls are there too. So there's a little bit of fashion from the 70s. Pretty cool. You can see how the 80s got to where they got to. Pretty understandable, has to be said. Now, the question that we has there is, what are the best treatments in the salon for long hair? Long hair, it's not... The treatment shouldn't be just on the length of the hair. Treatment needs to be on the condition of the hair. So if the integrity of the hair, if the hair isn't in great shape because there's not enough moisture, then we have to look at something that has a huge amount of moisture in it. If the issue is that it's breaking down, then we have to look at things like protein. If you're not getting enough of those oils running through the ends of the hair, then we have to look at putting extra oils on it. And look, at the end of the day, the reality is that you might need all three. If you look at and I went through a little bit of the essentials range. So you've got protein complex there, which is a product that's designed to be a mimic of the hair's natural protein. Then over here you've got some oil balance. Again, the coating part of the hair, very important. It locks in the moisture. If you're losing moisture, think of it like a cylinder that has holes in it. If you put water in there, the water's just going to keep running out of those holes. Oil balance and oils for the hair actually close over the cuticle and don't allow for moisture to escape. Bleached long hair, the likelihood is something probably in this sort of range. Because what tends to happen when you start lightening your hair, the bonds in your hair are the ones that get attacked to a degree. They don't always come off, and people don't know where people have had their hair done, but there are hairdressers that can push it too far. Putting something in like effectively a Novaplex or a Plex actually helps to reform those bonds. So, Novaplex in your color as you're doing it, and for you to use at home afterwards, very important. Highly recommend it personally myself. That would be my recommendation if it came to what we're trying to achieve a good outcome for somebody's hair. So anywhere from the bond over here up until the oil balances, the protein complex, your equilibrium, which is the highest moisture content product that De Lorenzo have. It's that combination of making sure that the hair is receiving the nutrients and keeping the moisture and nutrients that it needs that will make it work. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'll be back again tomorrow night having another conversation with you all. Again, get those questions ready, send them through. I'll be willing and excited to answer them. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you had a great night and have a good sleep. See ya.